what a contrast between the clouds. It's so dark and gray over there, but it's pretty much like blue on the other side. The heck, it's actually raining on this spot here. I guess it makes sense with the clouds. With the rain, there should technically be a rainbow somewhere. I've never actually figured out the science to know exactly where it would be during a time like this. It was kind of interesting reading this today. Essentially, I was just going through the National Research Council site just to look at a place where I'm thinking of flying because I might have to go there just based on the schedule. So upon going to the Nav Canada forum, stuff like that, there was actually this link on the bottom. Apparently it's a course to teach people how to fly drones, I suppose, in the advanced operations. It says Advanced Operations Pilot Certificate and Licensing Course, Cornwall, Ontario. Nav Canada, Carleton University's Faculty of Engineering and Design and Ottawa Aviation Services are pleased to jointly offer an RPAS Advanced Pilot Certificate and Licensing course. This course is delivered at the Nav Centre in Cornwall, Ontario. Course participants will be presented with a certificate of completion. The Transport Canada online exam, practical flight and radio license assessment are included in the program. Now that's a key thing. They didn't say, for example, this course will help you prepare for things like the test, as what most drone schools would say. It says basically certificate of completion with the Canada online exam. So are they guaranteeing that you can essentially pass the whole test and everything like that by taking this course? I mean, for me, just from going through the whole process so far, one thing I've said is no one actually teaches you how to fly, whereas apparently this one does. It says the 5-day course will be delivered at the Nav Centre facility in Cornwall, Ontario. Course content will focus towards Transport Canada RPAS rules regulations effective June 1st, 2019, RPAS application designers, flight operations and operation planners, project program managers, scientists, specialists, engineers, and technical subject matter experts involved in the application of RPAS, law enforcement and first responders, RPAS entrepreneurs, technical managers. So that's who they're targeting essentially. And then there's some stuff where there's no way anyone would have learned this before if they went to some kind of quote drone ground school, just because things changed with the way the drone process is. Like for example, the Nav Canada Air Navigation System overview, the RPAS authorization request form, like that's an example where even you guys pretty much are seeing how I did it as a way, I guess, for some of you are learning how it's done. For the actual training drones, it says they're using a DJI 450 and Mavic Pro units. Flight principles of RPAS drones and propulsion systems, pretty much what I guess they would assume you'd need for the actual test. And how much does this cost? A whopping $2,000 per participant. And it says enrollment fees collected to cover the academic and ancillary costs of course, including instructors, classroom space, use of simulators, simulator support resources, and supplies. All fees will be collected by Nav Canada. And it says at an available rate for guest rooms, $179 per night, including breakfast and all that. Holy cow, just thinking about that too. It says lunch is available at $19.50 per day. I know it's probably average for people who dine out a lot, but to me, like $19 or $20, that's pretty much, you could get like a full week's of groceries, for example, depending on where you shop and so forth. But it seems a little expensive, huh? So unless I'm reading it wrong, this is pretty much a way to guarantee you can get the advanced license. You just have to pay $2,000 for that. Is it worth the training? It just seems so overboard in my opinion to fly things like a drone to capture basic photography and videos for people who want to use it that way. It's different if people want to transport it, like say autonomously, like with gear and shipments. That's different. Because honestly, from my personal opinion, if you were to spend that much money on a course, there isn't really technically any course that you could take per se that could guarantee you can pass the test. Because even with a lot of ground schools I've seen, I've read people buying things like say courses or prep exam material, and then they complain afterwards saying, a lot of these questions I got wasn't even in this thing. And the only response from most people have is just shrug shoulders, go complain to Transport Canada. We're basically teaching what they said you guys are supposed to learn. The problem really is more about the ridiculous questions and unrelated, I guess, materials for a drone operator. Do people think this is a bargain, a ripoff, very good, for example? Or is it just one of those things where it's easier just to buy your own drone, go fly it and all that? Because honestly, in terms of doing the actual exam and so forth, for most people I've seen, they basically go on things like a Google spree. Basically treat it like an open book, so it's more about how well you can search and find the materials. Maybe this one's the exception, but generally speaking, anyone who's selling you anything saying you're guaranteed to pass and so forth, in my opinion, is being completely dishonest. Just with the way everything is set up with the irrelevant questions, which they kind of admit to, like the Transport Canada, where they're gonna remove some of that stuff. Are you guys trying to capture that answer? Okay. Yeah, I usually see it once a day, but I don't know if you actually want to capture it.
Oh, I so here.
Was there another person in there?
There is another
Okay. I was like, oh, there's two of them. These ones.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah. Let's see. Is it usually on this side? Because I remember the last two times I've always saw them at the edge over there. Not
The edge?
yeah. That's
Interesting,
that's
because right, today, he's
okay. Yeah.
that he could have gone that way.
Because he's where, like, you know where that trail sign is? Like, yeah, he's always there around that bend. That's where I've always seen him. It's kind of interesting about the nets and all. Like I said, if I had known how to capture it, I would have captured it. Nope, couldn't see anything. They were actually excited to have a thermal camera and stuff like that. So they just gave me their number and so forth. So if I see it, I guess I'll try to capture it. Does anyone have any good ideas? Because they basically just said, whatever, like a towel and so forth. I'm thinking of just putting it in a bag, like capture it. Well, it'll be kind of interesting if we do capture it, huh? Alright, see you guys later.